Welcome back to the channel, guys. I mentioned in my last few videos that I would be bringing a new game to this channel, and that game happens to be Last Epoch. But before I get into my thoughts about this game, I want to get a few things out of the way. This does not mean that D2R videos are coming to an end, and I will still be making D2R content. This is also not a review of the game, but more so of what I think after my playtime, which is around 70 hours. To start things off, I'll say that technically this is not my first time playing Last Epoch. I tried it around 3 or 4 years ago when it was in its very early stages, and again about a year and a half ago. And both times I honestly couldn't really get into it. That being said, this game has come a very long way, and after giving it another shot, this time around finishing the campaign, making it into the endgame, and doing impounded monoliths, and raising my corruption quite a little bit, it was one of the most fun games I've played since the release of Lord of Destruction over 20 years ago. Even Path of Exile, which I have a few thousand hours on, and is a masterpiece of an ARPG, was not as enjoyable as Last Epoch is for me. This is not to say the game is perfect, and don't get me wrong, it has its issues that needs fixing before its actual release, which is supposed to be in December this year. But I'll leave that discussion in detail for another video. The thing that really drew me in about this game is that Last Epoch is its combat system, and it feels really flushed and enjoyable. The skills are impactful, the gear progression all the way till the end, when you have a full build, feels incredibly good. And I thoroughly enjoyed mowing down mobs from the start all the way into the endgame. There's solid density throughout the game, and it just feels good to plow both in the story and in the endgame. Bosses have good and challenging mechanics that are well telegraphed, and whenever I died to one and had to repeat it, I never felt like I got cheated on by the game, but rather that I did not know what I was doing, and it was a skill issue on my part, which encouraged me to try again till I beat it, or at maybe to the aggressive. I went too aggressive on the damage and just needed to change the stats on my gear a little bit so I didn't die in a single hit. The game also has an amazing crafting system that sits right about in the middle of Path of Exiles that does require a PhD to understand, and Diablo's overly simplistic one. It is not very difficult to learn, but it will take a little bit of time to get used to. And personally, I'm the type of person that never enjoys crafting in video games. It's just never really been my thing. But Last Epoch was a little bit different. The game gives you so much crafting materials that you never really feel like you're running out, which lets you mess around freely to try and make better gear for yourself, even from very early stages of the game, without fear that you're going to need to save all those materials for when you hit the actual endgame. I also enjoy the fact that, unlike Diablo 3 and 4, loot isn't just for the class you are playing, but more like Diablo 2 and PoE, where anything can drop, giving you the possibility to grind gear for new characters that you want to try and mess around on, make your own build, and farm stuff for maybe predetermined builds that you've seen other people play that you just want to try out for yourself. I'm currently looking forward to pushing my current build and character to its maximum potential, and then making another one to do it all over again with all the gear that I've farmed so far. The endgame progression system is also a mix between the mapping system of Path of Exile and pushing Greater Rifts in Diablo 3. You fly through various maps to a very decent degree, target farm items that you're looking for while pushing up the corruption that makes it more difficult, but also yields much better rewards. You also get various buffs called blessings as you finish more and more monoliths that both give you some generic stat boosts to help either your damage or defense, and ones that increase your loot potential, allowing you to easier target farm the items that you're looking for. Even though this game is still in early access, it is fairly well polished, and with the release of online play, as for years it was only single player with online global chat, it's definitely moving towards its full release. It also has a ladder system, which is currently in its first season, with fully working leaderboards, and as it stands, that doesn't really give you much else besides bragging rights, but I do expect more will come from it in the future. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed playing Last Epoch, and will continue playing it as well as making content for the game. 11th Hour Games has done a great job of developing this game while learning from other popular ARPGs such as Path of Exile and Diablo series. If you've played either of them, you'll notice some really nice quality of life changes that both of those titles lack. And no, I did not get paid or sponsored to say any of this, but if you enjoyed either of those titles, I highly recommend checking this one out, as there is plenty to do with the game, 5 classes, and each has 3 of its own subclasses, though a couple are still not in the game as of yet. The devs have also promised a lot more content upon the full release of the game, so if you want to familiarize yourself with the game, this is a good time to start. That is going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button, as more and more content for Last Epoch will come to this channel. As always, my social media information will be in the video description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.